Well, if you want to get to the first choice of your college, then you want to come here.
I was very successful here at Randolph-Macon Academy. I was in cadre, and I went to college. And it wasn't until probably freshman year of college when I realized that my study habits were a lot better than those of my fellow students. I was able to juggle work and school and a sorority and keep my grades up when a lot of my fellow students were not able to do the same. And all of the study habits and work habits have kept with me through school, through my career, through graduate school, and I credit Randolph-Macon Academy for it.
I wanted to get into a college, and I was from a very small high school, and I just really didn't think that I was going to get anywhere. And I needed an institution so I can get into Washington and Lee. RMA did it very, very nicely for me because it gave me the desire to study, and they gave me a challenge that was way above anything I've ever experienced before.
Well, it's just the solid core of academic excellence and the discipline. The discipline was enormously helpful. I think you get a perspective of what you need to do when, and you get on with it. You don't play games. And that was a big help to me in college. You know, almost all of my college classmates in the freshman class had to take qualifying tests in which they had to do makeup courses. I didn't have to do any of them.
I had done very poorly in public school. I was one of those that the public school was just about done with my not performing. And in those days, they didn't try to label anything. They just said, you're an underachiever. So my parents looked into schools and found RMA, and they sent me here. The small class sizes and the very rigid discipline. I would say that probably that had a lot to do with my being successful here when I was not successful in the Fairfax County Public Schools, which were large then and still are larger. And beginning with basic training, I saw where the discipline and the ability to live in a disciplined environment when I needed to had made a difference. The Air Force had a program where they selected certain people for college scholarships in engineering. And I wanted that. I really wanted to do that. And I think I learned to persevere here at RMA because I wanted to get through. And I got accepted in the program, and I spent 2.5 years really kind of like starting college all over again. But I spent a couple of years going through and getting a degree in engineering, getting a commission. Again, the self-discipline that I'd learned here, and the moral values that I learned here. And that probably did more for me to be successful from that time on. From the time I was commissioned on, I think it was the fact that I had found a relationship with God that I really had begun at RMA, and I had learned a pattern of life that was disciplined, purposeful. God honored that, blessed that, and I grew in that. And eventually I made full colonel, which is kind of unusual for an enlisted guy.
RMA was good for me because in high school I needed more structure in order to make sure that I could get my work done and sort of schedule out my life. But I wanted to find a military school that actually had good academics, that had academics as its primary focus and not just an afterthought. My original public school, it was considered to be one of the top 10 public schools in the nation. However, I wanted to do sort of advanced level math. I've been doing this distance learning program versus Stanford where I would take college classes online and get credit. My public school refused to let me do this because after I've taken calculus, they would not let me go further. At Randolph-Macon Academy, before I actually came here, I was asking the general, which shows just how close and how much he cares, is that the General Hopgood is actually able to talk with some prospective freshman coming out of nowhere. And he said that I would be able to continue to go further on in math, go beyond calculus, and be able to do this distance learning program. Randolph-Macon Academy, believe it or not, it actually let me go further in academics than my highly regarded top 10 public school, which is a very distinct shift from what you would expect from a military school where it's expected to be military first, academic second.
I think as a student, RMA taught me how to study and to utilize my time. And I think that stuck with me through college, as well as the military, as well as in business. And I think was part of what helped mold my life, whatever it's turned out to be.
I'm very indebted to Randolph-Macon Academy, and I feel strongly about that.
Well, if you don't give back, then I think you're missing a blessing, because of the fact that you're giving back so that other people can have the opportunity to do what they needed to do, and is to get an education.
So I think it's important for the school to be underwritten by those who succeeded in the school and who are best able to underwrite the school.
You can see the tangible and intangible benefits that I received, and the only way to continue those on would be to invest in the future as someone invested in my future.
It's good to start giving back just to get into that habit of saying, RMA, I owe you a debt, and I think I need to start paying it.